Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're located on the planet Earth. It's time for another PulseWave report with yours truly, the Algo Capitalist, aka the Vulcan, coming to you live from PulseWaveTrading.com, home of the world famous PulseWave Price Trigger Report. All right, so this is going to be a quick one today. Just wanted you to think about some things as we are moving forward. I think I covered it yesterday. I explained to you that time was running out and that the U.S. is finding itself getting closer and closer every day to becoming a failed state, to losing its superpower status, and ultimately the one reserve currency status. The reason for this is multifaceted. But one of the chief issues is that we face a wall. And that wall is that as they continue to devalue the dollar, we're faced with this one question and this one issue. And that is that they can devalue the money that we trade our time for at will, but we can't create more time. That is the problem. All right. As governments continue to print money and issue more money, we know that these fiat currencies lose about 90% or more of their value over time. In the era before central banks could create trillions of dollars with a few keystrokes, this was accomplished by recalling silver or gold coins and replacing them with coins with little intrinsic value. In the case of the Ottoman Empire, back in the 1600s, the empire recalled all of its copper coins, which was small money used for everyday transactions. And they restamped it at a face value triple the old value, in effect wiping out 2/3 of its purchasing power. Diaries of commoners in every regime not shredded by war record that the 90% devaluation of the money was just as devastating as the floods and droughts and food shortages and soaring taxes that were all part and parcel of the official response to the crisis. So the cure is deadlier than the disease. That money is losing its purchasing power faster than we can earn more of it is a fundamental transformation. In the so-called good old days of 2 generations ago, making 25% more money still added purchasing power to our incomes, even after deducting 5% for inflation. We still netted an additional 10% of purchasing power. But if history is any guide, and those that don't know it are doomed to repeat it, then we can anticipate 20% inflation and 20% higher taxes on our additional earnings, leaving us less purchasing power, and even after we traded every available hour for the additional income. Stuck with trading our time for devaluing currency will be poor in what really counts, which is our time and energy, and poorer in the purchasing power of our income. This is the problem. The currency is steadily becoming devalued the more and more they print more of it. So you won't be able to work enough hours just to get back what you've lost because the money is still being devalued. This is that paradox. What do? There's nothing you can do. But their response is, hey, let's just do a big old reset. That's right. Did you know that the Bretton Woods Conference of 1944 set the global financial system that still prevails today? The period of 1969 and 1971 can be regarded as the first reset, which involved the creation of special drawing rights or SDRs, and it's under the ticker XDR. The devaluation of the dollar and the end of the gold standard. For years, there have been discussions about the next global monetary realignment, which is sometimes called the Big Reset or the Great Reset. But details vary depending on the source. But the basic idea is that the current global monetary system centered around the dollar is inherently unstable and needs to be reformed. Part of the problem is due to the process called Triffin's dilemma, named after economist Robert Triffin. Triffin said that the issuer of a dominant reserve currency had to run trade deficits so that the rest of the world could have enough of the currency to buy goods from the issuer and expand world trade. But if you ran deficits long enough, you would eventually go broke. This was said about the dollar in the early 1960s. In 1969, the International Monetary Fund, known as IMF, created the SDR, the special drawing rights, possibly to serve as a source of liquidity and alternative to the dollar. In 1971, the dollar did devalue relative to gold and other major currencies. SDRs were issued by the IMF from 1970 to 1981. None were issued after 1981 until 2009 during the global financial crisis caused by the Federal Reserve and the central banks. The 2009 issuance was a case of the IMF testing the waters a bit, stretching the system to make sure it worked properly. Because 0 SDRs were issued from 1981 to 2009, the IMF wanted to rehearse the governance, computational, and legal processes for issuing SDRs. The purpose was partly to alleviate liquidity concerns at the time, but it was also to make sure the system works. In a case of large new issuances was needed on short notice. The 2009 experiment showed the system worked fine. Since 2009, the IMF has proceeded in slow steps to create a platform, now massive new issuances of SDRs, and the creation of a deep liquid pool of SDR-denominated assets. On January the 7th of 2011, the IMF issued a master plan for replacing the dollar with SDRs. This included the creation of an SDR bond market, SDR dealers, and ancillary facilities such as repos, derivatives, settlement and clearance channels, and the entire apparatus of a liquid bond market. Now, a liquid bond market is crucial. U.S. Treasury bonds are among the world's most liquid securities, which makes the dollar a legitimate reserve currency. However, the IMF study recommended that the SDR bond market replicate the infrastructure of the U.S. Treasury market with hedging, financing, settlement, and clearance mechanisms substantially similar to those used to support trading in Treasury securities today. In July of 2016, the IMF issued a paper calling for the creation of a private SDR bond market. These bonds are called MSDRs for market SDRs, in contrast to OSDRs for official SDRs. In August of 2016, the World Bank announced that it would issue SDR-denominated bonds to private purchasers. Industrial and Commercial Bank of China, ICBC, the largest bank in China, will be the lead underwriter on the deal. In September of 2016, the IMF included the Chinese yuan in the SDR basket, giving China a seat at the monetary table. So the framework has been created to expand the SDR scope. All this happening in the background, right? Now, the SDR can be issued in abundance to IMF members and used in the future for a select list of the most important transactions in the world, including balance of payment settlements, oil pricing, and the financial accounts of the world's largest corporations, such as ExxonMobil, Toyota, and Royal Dutch Shell. Now, the IMF is planning to issue $500 billion of new SDRs, although some Democratic senators are lobbying for an issue of $2 trillion of worth of SDRs, or even more than that. Now, this will be almost 10 times the amount of SDRs issued in 2009. It will go a long way to increasing the SDR liquidity and advancing the globalist agenda of eventually having the SDR replace the US dollar as the leading reserve asset. All right, you can see all the work that's gone in behind the scenes to lead you to that conclusion. Now, this proposal closely follows the global elite game plan predicted back in 2016. Now, over the next several years, we will see the issuance of SDRs to transnational organizations such as the UN and World Bank to be spent on climate change infrastructure and other elite pet projects outside of the supervision of any democratically elected bodies. Again, doing things in secret, doing things in the shadows, hence the shadow government. All right. Now, there's more to the Great Reset than the issuance of SDRs. Here's another breaking news story that validates the long-standing prediction of a coming reset in the global financial system. In 1999, the euro replaced the individual currencies of Germany, France, Netherlands, Italy, and other major economies in Europe. Today, the number of countries that have joined the euro is up to 19, and more countries are awaiting admission. The euro is the second largest reserve currency asset after the US dollar. The creation of the euro can be thought of as a stepping stone from national currencies to a single world currency. But hold on a second. Based on what we do know so far and what's been going on with the global economy, that 19 member euro could drop down to 10. That means that you would lose half of the members. Remember, Great Britain is already backing out, and that's just the first one. But I think the rest of these countries could end up doing the same thing because on an individual basis, they're on the verge of collapse. Look at your pigs, your Portugal and your Greece, all right, and your Spain and your Italy. Okay, just something to think about. Could we see that number be cut in half? Now, the euro, along with the Chinese yuan, is moving quickly to become a central bank digital currency, or CBDC. Now, a CBDC combines a traditional currency with the blockchain technology of a cryptocurrency. I warned about this back in 2016 with the documentary that I did called The Federal Reserve versus Bitcoin and the Central Banks versus the Blockchain. If you recall, that is still up on YouTube. Now, it's an important move in the direction of eliminating cash and forcing users into a 100% digital system using credit cards, debit cards, and smartphone apps. Why are China and Europe so focused on eliminating cash? Well, I'm sure they're going to use this And that is because, it can stop the spread of disease because paper money can have disease all over it, make it all nasty, right? Think about it. You cannot put negative interest rates on consumers until you eliminate cash. Otherwise, savers would just withdraw cash from the banks and stuff it in mattresses to avoid the negative rates. Implicitly, the European Central Bank, the ECB, seems to agree. One of the ECB board members says that negative rates, which is really, confiscation, will be applied as a penalty against hoarding cash. In plain English, that means they will create digital money, force you to spend it, and if you don't spend it, they will take it away as a negative rate. Now, all of the pieces of the global elite plan are converging. So you won't be able to save anymore, not in the traditional sense, but they're forcing you to use it. Now, the IMF SDR issuance will require global central banks that cannot print dollars. Then the CBDCs will be used to eliminate cash. Once the cattle, which is the sheeple, the populace, have been herded into the digital slaughterhouse, we'll be told to use it or lose it when it comes to our own money. In other words, either we spend the money or the government will take it away. Of course, the spending can be channeled into politically correct causes by excluding unpopular vendors such as gun dealers or conservative social media platforms from the payment system. See what I'm saying? See how easy they can do it? Remember, I warned you about that? Now, this represents total domination of human behavior through world money and digital currencies and confiscation. This is not speculation anymore. It's happening right in front of our eyes. The Great Reset is coming fast. The future is here. And the only solution is to use a non-digital, non-bank store of wealth that cannot be traced or manipulated. Given the planned dollar devaluation, it's one more reason to own physical gold and silver. So you still got to get that while you still can. It's becoming harder to get that too. But in the end game, you won't be able to use anything but their money anyway. So that is just how they're going to be playing it. And you already know this. You've already been told this. So it's not coming as a surprise to you. Most of you already know what time it is. So this is not like, ooh, I'm shocked. I can't believe it. No, you're not shocked. We've been warning you on YouTube for years that this was going to be coming near you. Why do you think the big push for censorship and deplatforming people from social media? It's going to be even easier to do it once they go 100% digital. All right, folks, you know what it is. Smash that like button. Bulls make money, bears make money, and pigs get slaughtered. So remember to take what you can and give nothing back. Come to PulseWaveTrading.com so you can learn how to navigate these markets and build that income stream for yourself. And I'm out. Peace.